Okay. Well, thanks again for having me. I really, like say, enjoy hanging out with you guys. And every time you guys say, hey, come on now, I get super excited just to spend some time with you all. So thank you, thank you, thank you for having me. Today, I like to speak on co-parenting, knowing your rights. These topics can be a little serious, a little tough pill to swallow sometimes because it make it look at ourselves and how we move forward in our lives, dealing with our exes and custody, and it's just a lot going on, a lot of different ways to kind of swim over, if you will. But we're ready for it. And just beware, there are some goofy jokes in here, some bad jokes in here, but they're designed to make you laugh. So if you're on this call and you are have an idea of what this the answer to the joke is, then I have a special treat for you at the end. So if you come close, if you don't even get it, if you don't guess the right answer, if you just come close to the answer, we'll take that, and then the one who gets the most closest to the answer, or the one who gets the right answer, will be the one who gets the prize, if that's okay. If that's okay with you guys, just to keep it fun and the momentum going. Because like I say, it is a serious topic, and I want to be able to kind of break the ice a little bit. So we'll start off with this bad joke. What's at the bottom of the ocean and shivers? Anybody? Anybody? Nobody?
I don't know.
Take a guess.
Sand?
Sand? Anybody else?
At the bottom of the
It's
ocean?
a bad joke, guys. It's fun. Like you're not going to get an F. You're not going to get graded. I promise you. It's just in fun. What's at the bottom of the ocean? Anything. Take a stab at it.
Is algae at the bottom of the ocean?
Okay, algae. We got sand. Anybody else? Did somebody say something? I couldn't hear him. Okay, well, we'll go with algae and sand. So guess what? What's at the bottom of the ocean and shivers? Huh? A nervous wreck. You didn't see that one coming, did you? A nervous wreck. That's what's at the bottom of the ocean and the shivers. I told you it was a bad joke. All right, we're ready to get started. Visitation. That will be our first topic of today. Whether you're getting along with your non-custodial parent or not, visitation is a requirement. We want to make it, less stressful on everyone, and there are ways to do that. So visitation is a requirement. Then what visitation is, for those of you who maybe don't understand it, visitation is between a custodial and non-custodial parent. So the custodial parent has has their child full time. The non-custodial parent sees the child every other weekend or whatever their designated dates and time are. And usually when they have this, they either have a parenting plan that is without the courts, or just something that, hey, they went to a mediator and they say, hey, we put this parenting plan in place just to establish some boundaries, just so that we could have fun with it, just establish some structure, and yet be able to, if we need to change it, that's fine, but at least we have some type of structure, right? But if you have a court order, say for instance, your court order says pick up every other weekend, start beginning Friday. JJ will pick up little Ray at 6 p.m. every other Friday at 6 p.m. and we'll drop Ray back off Sunday at 6 p.m. at Shayla's house. Or if you all can't really get along, you don't want to come to each other's houses, then you pick a public place, maybe a QT or a Kroger's or Publix, somewhere mutual, right? So you put those things in place, and you want to make sure that you honor your document that is given to you by the court. because if you don't do that, then you could go into contempt of court, and you do not want that to happen, because that you can end up in jail if you get too many of those. And then it just causes a lot of frustration and anger and bitterness and all of that between mom and dad. You know, you think the child doesn't feel it, but the child does. They feel everything that you're feeling. They know when you're fighting. They feel the tension in the room. So get yourself a plan, if even if it's a parenting plan without the courts, or a custody order. So if you're already in the courts, you're getting child support through the courts, then you want to make sure you follow that custody order to the T. Without that, you can end up in contempt of court, and you do not want to end up in contempt of court, because it, like I said, it could land you in jail, or you lose your credibility as a parent. Okay. But most importantly, just stick to it. Don't deviate from it. Even if JJ don't show up, you show up. You make the child show up. And people say, well, I don't want to keep disappointing my child. You know, I have Ray Ray ready at 6 o'clock and he doesn't show up at all. He doesn't call, or she doesn't call, because nowadays it's just not about a single parent. Is not always the dad or the mom. Dads are single parents too, and you have mothers who are not showing up for visitation. Okay, so I don't want this to feel like we're bashing the men, because that's not what this is. I work with men and women. I've seen from both sides. So with my experience, I I um, I was the custodial parent, and then I became the non-custodial parent, right? So I've seen both sides. So I know what it feels like from a man perspective when you are the non-custodial parent. I know what it feels like to be the custodial parent. So I can speak to either side. So like I say, it's not just for the men. This is for the women as well. If you ever find yourself in this situation, this too can apply to you as well, woman or man. There's no gender specific or anything. The same rules apply. Okay, there's no favoritism whether you're a man or a woman. It's the same. The rules are the same, and we cannot deviate from any court order. So just make sure you follow it step by step if you can, so that you do not find yourself being placed in contempt of order. And plus, it helps bring structure. It helps bring a peace of mind, and then from there you also establish boundaries. You know, so if you have a court order and it's 6 o'clock and he doesn't show up, usually around after 6:30 without a phone call or so, then you have the right to go ahead and leave. But when you have a court order, whether you know he shows up or not, you just document it. You know, JJ or Susie didn't show up for a visitation at 6 o'clock. You just document it however many times. Then if you find yourself going back to court, now you got a whole documentation to protect yourself. There was no phone call. JJ and Susie didn't call. They didn't say they didn't show up. It was after 6:30, or they called it, or they came by at 8 o'clock, wanting to pick up the child. That's that was totally unacceptable. I have to create boundaries. You just can't show up at my house any ungiven time, you know, especially on a phone call to try to rearrange if you have to work late, or you had something important that had, you know, that you had to take care of. Maybe you were traveling, you got there late, or something happened, you had a wreck. You know, there was no phone call in place. But if you called and you made an arrangement with the custodial parent, then you were okay to, you know, and you all agree to it, then okay, you can pick them up at 8 o'clock because you call me, let's say 4 o'clock, and you foreseen this coming, you couldn't help it, I'm in agreement with it. Now, if you have a custody order, you don't have to give him or her that leverage or that grace period. That is up to you. But I always say you get more flies with honey. So is that right? More bees with honey or flies with honey? Bees with honey. Well, you get more love with honey. How you get more bees with honey? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. You got to help me out here. So you get more bees with honey. So you know, if you want to give some grace time, that's perfectly fine. I do recommend that because, you know, like I say, it's just structure for you guys. You know, life happens. whether no matter how we feel about the non-custodial parent, they still need to spend time with their children. So just remember the child comes first, and we want to make sure that they are your number one priority, and we're not acting or behaving out of anger. And this we see this as an opportunity for um, to be mean and ugly because they didn't do what they want to do. Because someday you're gonna look up and you're gonna need that grace. So be the first one to show some love, show some grace, and when your day comes, if it comes, if they don't return the favor, at least your blessing's gonna come in a different way. Just know that you're doing the right thing because you're responsible, right? You are responsible for how you treat that individual. Okay, you can't worry about how they treat you, but you can treat people how to treat you, and that's where you set boundaries in your life so that it makes sense for you and your child according to the court order, around the court order, or if you don't have a court order, then you still set those boundaries. Hey, let's talk about it. If you don't even have a parenting plan and you just say, hey, you're going to be here at this time, be here. If you're not, I'm sorry, you can't come. If you're gonna call me between what 9 and 6. Do not call me after 8 o'clock p.m. Whatever your boundary time is, you set those boundaries. Because what if you're meeting somebody else or you're dating somebody else and you are out, at the park or somewhere, and he's just calling, blowing up your phone, not respecting you, your time with your new friends, or if you're just out with friends and you don't want that negative energy, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to deal with this call right now. I already know, if I pick up this phone, where it's going to lead to. So, and you don't want to disturb your evening. You might just be with your family and friends, or you just don't want to take on that negative energy right now. Set those boundaries in place that you don't. So if you know, hey, after 8 o'clock, you can't call. If you about to die, okay, I get it. Let me know. But don't just be calling my house or just be riding by. Don't be treating me like a refrigerator. I'm not a refrigerator. You just can't come to my house and go in my refrigerator anytime you get ready. Y'all get that? Can't go just, you want if I just came to your house, Emily, and just start going to your refrigerator, that's gonna be okay with you? I ain't asked. I just come
Yeah,
over there every time that's going to your refrigerator.
we'd have some intense fellowship.
Right. Okay. There we go. There we go. So let's set those boundaries so that you are not someone's refrigerator. All right. We can move on. And just so you know, I am not an attorney. I am speaking from experience. When you join our master classes and things of that nature, then you get to experience all of our professionals that can legally speak to these. If you have additional questions, you can ask those questions from a legal standpoint. But I am speaking to you by way of my experience and what was advised to me during these times, because I too was that person. So I don't want you to have anyone to have to go through what I went through. And that's why SPC exists today.